and welcome to Rose Plays, Season 8, Episode 18. As always, I'm your host, Orion Moonrose, and today we delve into the second installment of the Achievement Perfectionist series. What is the Achievement Perfectionist, in case you haven't seen the other one, since there is only two? Well, it is where I take a game that we have played here on the show and have either acquired all the achievements either before, after, or during the Let's Play. And I break them down into 4 different categories: the story-based, combat-based, playthrough-based, and collectibles-based. And between all those, I give you an easy and hard achievement for that category. And at the end, we delve into the whole thing. What is the easiest? What is the hardest? A final analysis, and some statistics about how bad or good I did during the playthrough. So, let's go ahead and get started, delving deep into a dive for the achievements for D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die. And as always, we start off with the story-based achievements. Why? Because unless you're The Simpsons and you can press start, or you're Deadpool who just gives you free achievements, you have to play the story before you can do combat, playthrough, or even collectibles. So, within the story, there are 9 achievements for it. And these range anywhere from completing a mission, completing an episode, or completing a stunt scene. The episodes and the seasons are self-explanatory. You start the episode, you play it, so on and so forth, till you beat it. The whole season. Now, the quick time events, or the combat, may be the hardest part of the game. Well, mostly. I mean, with the stunt scenes, you have to enter a certain quick time event, and if you don't do it in time, then this ultimately leads to you failing. But because of the fact that you can save right before it, by either talking on the phone, in the airplane, or at home, you pretty much just have trial and error. Now, the only other thing that could really hurt you from completing the game is if you decide not to eat, drink, keep up your health, because then you slowly decay and disappear. So, with that said, what was the easiest story-based achievement and the hardest? The easiest would have to have been White Lake, which was started playing Season 1. This one was almost as simple as just pressing start. You basically start up the season for Episode 1, or prologue, I suppose, and you get an achievement for starting the game. The hardest achievement was the Deeper Dive, which, like the first achievement for Easy, which was starting Season 1, this is finishing Season 1. Now, yeah, it's going to be the hardest achievement, unless you're having a certain difficulty at a certain mission, which, like I said, I really didn't feel the difficulty there. Then you're pretty much just going to be time-consuming on the story-based achievements getting to the end of Season 1. So, for a difficulty rating, I'd give it a 2 only because of the fact that you have to keep your health up and the stunt scenes. So, let's go ahead and talk about the stunt scenes more as we enter into the combat aspect of the achievements. And this is where the achievements get a little into the gray area. Combat and playthrough and somewhat collectibles kind of can blend together, so I really had to fight to decide what I wanted for what. But for the combat achievements, there are also 9. Just like before with the story. These range from completing the stunt scenes without making a miss or poor rating, and synchro rates. Well, when you're playing the quick time events, or the stunt scenes as they call them, you have, I believe, miss, poor, good, great, perfect, or excellent, whatever the highest mark is. And the higher you get on those scores, the more your synchro rate goes up. And if you get a high enough synchro rate, you get a lot of credits and so on and so forth, as well as something that helps towards the end of the episode. So, with that said, what were the easiest and the hardest achievements? Well, the easiest achievement was the tracker, which was completing the stunt scene with Zapatero in episode 1 without any miss or poor ratings. Now, this is not the first stunt scene. I figured the first stunt scene, you might not have such an easy time because you're just getting used to it. You don't know what to expect. You're learning. So by the time you hit the second one, you've got a stride, you've played it for a bit. So I believe this is the more easier achievement because of this. And the hardest achievement for it was Flawless, which was complete Season 1 without retrying. Like I stated before, you can, you can't really die or game over, actually. I just remembered that. When you run out of energy or you get hurt so much from the stunt scenes, you fall unconscious and you wake back up in your apartment in the present day. Now, if you don't eat, you also eventually fall unconscious and back up in the apartment, and that's where the retry comes in. Just trying to make that perfect balance between having to consume food and not screw up too much in the stunt scenes, I guess can make it a little difficult. Not too much, but just a little. So for this one, I would give the combat about a 3.5 to a 4. And now comes my favorite, the playthrough, especially in this game. Both the playthrough and when we get to it, the collectibles have a bunch of achievements. So let's go ahead and try and start with the playthrough aspect of the game and what I deemed playthrough and what there all was. And now we enter the playthrough, which is one of the two meat and butters of this achievement difficulties and lists and all of that. So what do they range from? Quite a lot. First of all, they range from completing 1 to all extra cases of the side missions for most of the major cast, or at least the people you talk to. So, as you're doing your investigation and talking to people, sometimes they have side quests for you, and these side quests range from everything from checking windows to see if they're squeaking, just to listening to stories. For one of them, you buy them stuff. So, I mean, it literally ranges from everything. You also then have collecting credits, which credits are everywhere, but they range from 10,000 to 100,000. And trust me when I say collecting 100,000 credits in this game, unless you exploit a hidden thing or something, it's going to take a while. Also, playing 10 hours of the game will net you another achievement. Activating David's special vision, which lets you see everything in a black and white, but with a yellow tone for anything that's important. That's about 100 times. To changing an outfit for David and a few of the other cast members. So you can also buy clothes during the game. You can go into David's bedroom and basically change his outfit or others. It works in the cutscene since everything's kind of one big glob. You can play music on the recorder. There's a record player you can also buy music for and listen to the music of the game, which is a nice thing. You can enter the shop out and in of a mission. So Amanda, the cat lady, yeah, we're calling her a cat lady, she appears both in the past and in the present. In the present, she's a humanoid. In the past, she's a cat. You can enter the shop and buy certain things. And even Anger, the female lead. I forget what the female lead's name is, but there's a certain point where you can just kind of slap her around, keeping that pip hand strong, and that nets you an achievement. Finally, for consuming enough alcohol to kill a rhino. No, not even a rhino. For killing a giant who would drink normal-sized beer. David consumes way too much alcohol, and I mean way too much. Especially if you try to do this all at once, you're going to wonder why David is not dead. So, that's basically what the playthrough achievements feel like. So what were the easiest and the hardest? The easiest was getting changed, which, as it sounds, changed David Young's outfit. Yeah, basically as soon as you get the first piece of article of clothing and or buy one from the shop, you can go straight into David's room, change the simplest thing, and bam, achievement unlocked. I find that quite easy. The hardest achievement is Hard Worker, collected 100,000 credits. I want to say that as hard as all the game was and whatnot, collecting 100,000 credits for me was very time consuming, and I believe it was the very last achievement that I went for. I mean, you can play this Clover Touch minigame, which we'll get into with the collectibles, and I'll also explain why it's not in, playthrough based, but if you're really good at that game, you can kind of spam the credits and get, I think, 750, 1,000, 2,000. But otherwise, regardless, this is probably what's going to get you up there on the achievement for the play 10 hours wise. So other than that, all that's left now is collectibles. And there is a crap ton, even a few more than what there was for playthrough, which, in case I did not mention, had 29 achievements. So, let's move into the final section of the achievements and see what was with collectibles. And as we enter the collectible base, we learn that D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, might have been built with way too many collectibles before they realized, oh crap, we forgot a game. Because seriously, there is just way too many collectibles and different ways to collect. But hey, if you like collectibles, your type of game. There were 31 collectible-based achievements for this section, and oh boy do they range from just about anything to anywhere. They range from collecting clovers in a minigame, which there's this minigame in there where you meet a doctor and you've got to collect like 100 or 200, not really that hard. But then, either after you beat all of them, or maybe it's right after you do the first one, you can go back to David's room, find a little doll of the tall, slow-talking guy who likes to talk 5 miles per minute. And basically, you'd start the Clover game. There's no limit. They just want you to continue to get up a high score. The achievements, however, want you to get, I think, 3, 6, 9, and 1,200, or some variation of that. 1,200 being the last one. The next one is completing episodes and seasons with factors such as objects, witnesses, observations, and mind synchros up to 75%. Within a certain episode, if you talk to all the witnesses, you collect so much of the stuff, just certain types of things, mind synchro, like I told you with combat base. There's achievements for completing each episode with 75% or higher, or completing the whole season with that amount. And it can be kind of difficult to do, but really, just screwing around, I pretty much did okay. Just always visioning everything and looking and popping, boom, 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 boom. Also, finding letters from Peggy. At some point, I think after talking to Roland, I could be wrong, which again is the doctor guy, you go back to the present and you're just messing around, goofing around, turn your vision on, eventually you just see an envelope, you're like, oh, what's this? Also, collecting articles for your scrapbook. So there's articles that David can read and whatnot, which talk about a multitude of things, from movie book releases to sports games to things to advance the plot on the drug that might make you a superhero or burn you out. I mean, literally. Also, eating percentages to complete food digestion. So, I talked about earlier with the combat, where you had to, not get hit and whatnot, otherwise it got rid of your heart. Well, if you didn't take care of yourself by completing food digestion or drinking, then you would slowly deteriorate and fall unconscious. I don't remember or know if I ever fell unconscious in the present or what would happen, but there was an achievement for eating every single based food and drink, and yeah, that one, you have to go to the store too and buy some of the foods. Otherwise, not really that difficult. Collecting amounts of clothes, records. Alright, so there was a record player, and there's clothes that you can buy and or get for completing certain tasks or events. And I believe each was like 20, 40, 60, 10, something like that. Most of them can be bought through the store, though, so this collectible really was just kind of more buyable, but I still threw that in there because it felt collectible-based. Experiencing all memories from little Peggy. So, yes, once you've hit Roland and played the Clover game, sometimes you'd see in your vision mode little Clover spectacles around, and if you clicked on it, you'd run into a memory from Peggy. Not that really difficult again to find, and very interesting, because I don't know if they were flashbacks or hallucinations, because David seems to be very close on the verge of insanity. Also, reading all fortunes from the fortune cookies. This has got to be my favorite collectible. To a point that even in the Let's Play, I believe, every time I went back to the present, I had to look up 3 fortune cookies, or each episode. I do not remember if in each Let's Play episode I did it, but they're just fun to watch David's expression, like when it's something really horrible. But the fortune cookies range from strange to weird to insane, but I think it's got to be my favorite collectible in the game. Just, if you ever play D4, and you're not even going for the achievements, you need to do the fortune cookies. They're something interesting. And finally, collecting all golden credits. Yeah, so along with the regular credits, there's these bigger credits that you can collect. And, oh, hello, Peanut. How are you? There's these golden credits that you can collect, and as you collect them, they're, I don't want to say really too difficult to collect. You just pretty much explore, check around, check here and there. Some are interestingly placed, like you gotta look in the mirror and you see a credit behind you, so you turn around a certain way and you gotta pan over to the left or pan over to the right and just grab it. So, the easiest achievement for this one was Letters from the Past, which is found in a letter from little Peggy. I've got to assume, I really do, that this has got to be the easiest of the collectibles, because you could just be goofing around in your vision mode, and you're accidentally going to find a letter and probably click on it. Just out of morbid curiosity, be like, oh, it's a letter, and bam, achievement unlocked. At least compared to every other collectible in the game, which seems like they want all percentages or certain percentage. I mean, finding an article could also be an easy one, but I think the letters are just bam in your face. The hardest achievement was the MVP Score Hunter, which, again, I know I'm borderlining on collectible here, but I'm still going to count it because you do have to collect them with your hand. They want you to have scored 1,200 points or higher in Clover Touch Score Attack. Now, I don't personally know if this is the hardest achievement for people. Maybe some people were really good at this game, or you are good at this sort of mini game. But for me, I would always be collecting no problem, freezing, lightning, whatever the special moves are. And I'd get close to like 1162 or 1182. And the clovers start getting smaller and faster. And I'd be like getting them, and all of a sudden would get by. It's like, no, come back. I can't. Game over. So for me, at least, I feel that the MVP Score Hunter was the hardest for the collectible base. And took me some time just because I had issues grabbing them. Otherwise, I suppose finding the golden credits would be the next hardest part. So, let's go ahead and delve now into final statistics, learn what it took for me to perfect the game, what the total difficulty is. Oh yeah, I did forget the difficulty. For the collectible-based ones, I'd say 5 to 7. Just because they can become a nuisance and some people don't like collectibles. And there were quite a ton in here, so it's like, yeah. Collectible is gotta be a 5 to a 7. So, final statistics. We'll learn what it took for me to beat it, certain stats, what it might take for you, and a final general broad achievement difficulty rating. So, once you combine all the base achievements together, the story, the combat, the playthrough, and the collectibles, you get a total of 78 achievements, with a grand total of 1,000 gamer score, or 1,000 G. So, then, what does this mean is the easiest achievement, and what is the hardest achievement of the entire game? Well, before we can delve into that, we first have to look at the fact that the game is buggy and glitchy when it comes to the achievements. Now, what do I mean by it's buggy and glitchy? Well, when I was playing episode 2 of the season for it, at some point it stopped giving me the achievements, which I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be getting them, but I'm not. So as I'm playing it and continuing it, it doesn't give me anything. Then I beat the game. And when I beat the game, then it unlocks and tells me, you've completed the season. But not episode 2. WTF? Really? How? How do you beat the season, but not the episode? Then those extra cases that I talked about back in, I think, playthrough, either sometimes the completed one extra case for somebody didn't unlock, or all of them didn't unlock, or it was vice versa, but the other one would always unlock if one didn't. Lastly, and most difficultly, the Cloverleaf Mini Attack Game, or whatever it wants to call itself, where the clovers fell and I had to try to catch it and it would just slip by me. Well, after about 3 hours of trying, I finally got over the 1200. So, celebrate good times. No. It didn't unlock. I was furious. I was angry. So I tried again. Another 3 hours later, guess what? It didn't unlock again. Now at this point, any normal or sane person would have just quit and moved on and said, this achievement's glitched, it's bugged, screw it, I'm not going to attempt it anymore. Unfortunately, I'm neither sane nor normal. And being the achievement perfectionist that I am, it is both my destiny and my curse and frustration to keep at it till I complete something sometimes. So, with that in mind, then, this might affect the hardest achievement difficulty and the difficulty rating for the achievement list. So, what was the easiest achievement then? Well, that had to be White Lake, which was start up the season. There's no way you can't not get this one. I mean, as long as you buy the game, have it downloaded, start up the game app, start up the game, bam. The only way you would not get this is if it glitched. But honestly, you can just keep restarting it. I mean, again, this is easy. It's so easy that even a glitch couldn't stop you unless it was a perma glitch. So then, what was the hardest achievement? Well, at least for me, It was the MVP Score Hunter, which was scored 1,200 points or higher in the Clover Touch score attack. Haha, that's what it's called. Now, granted, if your skill is great or your luck is good, mine wasn't on either much, then this might not be the hardest achievement for you. For me, it was. If it's not this one, it's probably going to be the collect 100,000 credits. Only due to the fact that the credits, they don't come to you too easy. They're not like a Mario and the jumpy coins. But hey. So, then, if I had to sit here and ponder and think of what the achievement difficulty for the entire game would be, I would give it a 7.5. Only due to the bugginess, the glitchiness, and the fact that the game is collectibles with a side story to it. Otherwise, if not for the glitchy and bugginess, but still the collectibles, I'd probably give it a 5.5 or a 6. So then, now it's time for what everybody's been waiting for. What was my final statistics for my personal playthroughs all together into the game? And by everybody, I mean nobody. So, once I get to it, alright, so my final statistics for the game. I acquired all 1,000 gamer score, unlocked all 78 achievements. I played 1 day, 11 hours, and 12 minutes worth of playtime. That is going from my very first playthrough just for fun, to perfecting it, to even playing it here on Rose Play. I scored 691 of completed episodes. I still to this day have no idea what that means, but apparently I scored that. Maybe you did better, maybe you did worse. You can let me know down in the comments if you played and scored there. Or even explain to me what it's supposed to mean. I completed 60 extra cases. Now, that seems like a lot, especially considering I don't think there's that many in the game. In fact, I know there's not that many in the game. But the two major reasons for this is, like I stated, buggy and glitchy, so going to make me play the missions again. Plus, also, this and the Clover Attack minigame is your best source of collecting credits. Still time-consuming and kind of a nuisance, but that's how. Lastly, speaking of credits, I earned a total of 101,335 because apparently collecting 100,000 just wasn't good enough. So, that will do it for today's episode of The Achievement Perfectionist. I will come back once again once I've looked through the library of the games that I've completed 100% and played here on the show, and get back to you with another episode. But until then, come back to Rose Play, Season 8, Episode 19, where we'll be doing a Let's Celebrate. What are we celebrating? We are celebrating we're celebrating Rose Play. Woohoo! We will be celebrating the disc-based Season Pass episode, which was only Minecraft up until Tuesday when Batman also brought it out on base, both by Telltale, but I think they might have a good idea going, but we will talk about more of that in the next episode. So, until next time, remember, keep gaming, never give up, and if you start seeing clovers falling from the sky, start grabbing them, and then take enough alcohol to get as drunk as an ox, because, my friend, chances are you're hallucinating and should seek medical help from a doctor. Just not rolling, because you'll be there all day on just one of his sentences.